So how long you figure you've been throwing, working with clay?
43 plus years.
43 years.
Yeah. It's kept me out of the bars and off the streets.
What
How much better can it get?
and you started really getting into it at the U of M, right?
Yes, in my junior year. I like to put the water on my hand rather than on the pot as much as possible, because it'll run off my hand slowly onto the clay and kind of deliver a moderate supply of water consistently.
Mm-hmm. Now what kind of clay is this?
This is a Archie Bray Foundation Cone 10 porcelain. It's their standard porcelain clay body, and it's very plastic. Throwing porcelain is a bit like throwing toothpaste. Very homogeneous particle size, which means that once it starts moving, it'll just keep rolling away from you. Whereas the stoneware, which has a more variegated particle size in the clay body, tends to have what is called better tooth.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to take a shape and hold it without getting too funky on you.
I remember you used to mix your stoneware and porcelain.
Yes, yeah, and I still do from time to time. It creates kind of a white, tan, cream finished body. I think one of the biggest problems that a lot of people have when they're throwing pots is, and principally, probably more with porcelain than stoneware bodies, is that there's a tendency sometimes for there to get a little S-crack through the bottom
Mm-hmm.
on the porcelain, where you don't get that all the time, or less with stoneware. So what I do is just take a stick with a smooth end on it, and after I've got the water on the inside, I go back in and I compress that bottom flatly. Pull off that really wet clay, and that extra compression tends to compact the clay so that it's less susceptible to cracking and drying. Save me an awful lot of pots. So anyway, at this point,
What are you looking for?
well, a little round stick. I can't find it right now, so there it is. So since this has kind of a wobble, I'll find a high part right here. And all I have to do now is this scale of pitcher is really good with warm syrup in it to just simply be held by the hand with the
Right.
being the handle for the pitcher. Works out really nice.
So what'd you do at that workshop over in Big Timber?
Had 8 or 9 people One kid and the rest were ladies, except for one married couple, and showed slides, a couple of cartridges of slides of elements that I enjoy seeing here in Montana, images that I've grown up with of landscape and shapes and colors, the mountains, and after showing a couple of cartridges, then I did some demonstrating of hand building with slabs of clay. And then I turned them loose, and the beauty of doing this workshop in a small town like Big Timber is that small town people are pretty self-sufficient. So you don't get a lot of whiners. You don't have people sitting around going, I don't know what to do. Well, you really think I could do that? You know, yada, yada, yada. Well, these guys basically said, get out of the way. And they built stuff. Planters and vases and cups, and they just had a ball. They were great. So there was a week spent drying things, and I went over Saturday and picked everything up and brought it back here to my shop so I could bisque fire it. And then next Saturday, I'll take everything along with my glazes, and we'll do glaze demonstration, and then I'll cut them loose, and when they finish their work, then I'll bring everything back here and fire it, and then about a week later, I'll take it all back over, and we continue to have potluck food, and it's great. A great group of people. I like to finish off the lip of the piece so that it's rather fat and unctuous, because the lip and the foot get 99% of the wear that a pot experiences. They're being picked up and set down. The rims are getting whacked, you know, in the dish rack. And so it's always a good idea if those areas, the foot and the lip of the pot, are not stout necessarily, but comfortable. That little trick has probably saved me, of the pieces that might normally crack, has eliminated about 60% of the loss through that problem. It's an amazing, simple, and very effective process. Oh, first of all, sorry, with the camera here and not paying attention. So I like to trim the piece so that the only thing I have left to do when the pot is dry is to indent the bottom and smooth the rim down there. And I'm going to torch dry one of these and show you how I do that. It's very simple. It eliminates 99% of the work when it comes to trimming a pot. And so what all this does is it takes away from the whole process the idea of struggle. You know, it's like the people who pretend to be, quote, artistic, and they say, you need to understand my angst, my pain, the difficulty of my creative efforts, yada, yada, yada.
Now a little trick with the dowel, that gives you a nice pouring
it's
surface.
Wonderful, yeah. And it cuts a hard edge right out there and inside. And the thing is that any liquid that's flowing has a certain amount of molecular adhesion. And so when you start a fluid moving, it wants to keep going. But if you cut it with a sharp edge, it breaks away really simply and really well. And it eliminates a lot of the drip that otherwise one might experience. Okay, so let's take this guy and we'll force dry it so I can show you this finishing on the bottom.